Greetings YouTube, I'm certain that everyone who has played Yu-Gi-Oh! Has at some point been disappointed in an archetype. Maybe you enjoyed the theme, the typing, or the playstyle, but as you looked closer or began to playtest it, that's when you realized that it was simply underperforming. For me, one such archetype is Digital Bugs. Before we get to the monster lineup, there are some common aspects which they sell. Namely that they are all level 3 light insect monsters with 3 elements to their effects. Specifically that 1. They can only be used for the XE summon of insect type monsters. 2. Each one has a more unique effect that's either for consistency or swarming the field. And 3. They have an effect which they can grant to an XE monster that was summoned using this monster. With these effects covered, let's begin with the Digital Bug Cocoon Dentral, whose unique effect is that if it is an attack position, you can target a level 3 insect monster in your graveyard, then switch this card to defense position, and if you do, special on that targeted monster in defense position. And the effect it can grant to an Xyz monster is that the opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step, but only if that Xyz monster attacks a defense position monster. Next up, we have Digital Bug Ladybug. This monster has the effect that if this card's position is changed from attack to defense, you can add a level 3 insect monster from your deck to your hand. Additionally, the effect it grants to Xyz monsters summoned using this card is that if it destroys a monster at battle, you can draw 1 card. On that note, Digital Bug Centibit has a similar effect to Ladybug, as when it is switched from attack to defense position, instead of adding a card to the hand, it specimens a level 3 insect monster directly from the deck. And the effect it grants to Xyz monsters is the ability to attack all of your opponent's defense position monsters, which would combo fairly well with Ladybug, as you'd be able to attack all of them, and each time you destroy them, you would draw a card. The problem is your opponent having defense position monsters and you being able to attack over them. I like to note that, going back to Confidential, the effect is kind of necessary because it's very battle focused, but the fact that it only works when it's attacking a defense position monster is a little too situational. But now, the question regarding Ladybug and Centibit is that you do need to switch them from attack position to defense position. Now, how do you do that? Well, in Archetype, the answer is Digital Bug Web Sorter, which states that you can target an attack position monster you control, change its defense position, and if you do, special a level 3 insect monster from your hand in defense position. And its Xyz related effect is that if it's used for the Xyz summon of a monster, upon Xyz summon, all your opponent's monsters have their defense reduced to 0, and they all change to defense position. Now, this, again, combos pretty well with the other ones, but now would be a good time to bring up Bocce Bocce Bocce. Hilarious name, I know. But with Bocce Bocce Bocce, it's a level 3 light insect monster that has the sole effect of granting an Xyz monster piercing damage. So, obviously, given that there was a big emphasis on attacking defense position monsters, attacking all defense position monsters, and making their defense 0, this is very necessary. And given that its stats, all of the attributes associated with it, are the same as the Digital Bugs, it's probably just meant to be a predecessor to the archetype and meant to be included. And the problem with this is that in order to get anything done with these, any major damage done with this, you would need to use Bocce Bocce Bocce, Web Sorter, and Centibit. Those are the ones necessary so you can attack all your opponent's 0 defense position monsters while dealing piercing damage, which requires 3 monsters. And while, yes, Web Sorter can summon another card from your hand, the problem would be you would still need some kind of additional normal summon card. Because there's no in archetype swarming that is particularly fast. In case you haven't noticed, the archetype is battle focused and rather slow. But hey, it's a big emphasis on XC summoning. What are the actual XC's monsters like? Well, in the extra deck we have Disselbug Scoadiator, which is a rank 3 light insect monster with 18 on attack and 14 on defense. It takes 2 or more level 3 light insect monsters for its summon. How very specific. And has 2 effects. First, it has a quick effect that at the cost of 2 materials you can target a monster your opponent controls, change its battle position, and if you do, that monster's effect is negated. Then, the other effect is that once per turn, when it destroys a monster or a battle and sends it to the graveyard, sends to grave, you can attach that monster to this as an Xyz material. I can't believe there are so many cards with this clause, particularly given that this was released in Signing Victories. And Signing Victories, yeah, pinlims were already a thing. So why did so many cards at this time have this restriction where they have to specifically hit the graveyard in an era that was dominated by pinlim summoning? But anyway, due to the level 1 restrictions of Disselbugs, that being they're all level 3 and they can only be used for insect monsters, your other most likely target to summon from the extra deck is number 20, Giga Brilliant. This is a rank 3 light insect monster with 18 on attack and defense, with the very basic effect of detaching 1 Xyz material to permanently boost the attack of all your monsters by 300. No, this does not help at all, but it's the only other card that's easily accessible. Moving on to the less easily accessible Xyz monsters, we have the rank 5 Disselbug Corbids, which has 22 on attack and 18 on defense, and it can be summoned one of 2 ways. You can either use 2 or more level 5 light insect monsters, there are none, or by detaching 2 Xyz materials from a rank 3 or 4 insect monster. The only rank 4 insects are number 66 Master Key Beetle, which requires dark monsters, and number 70 Malevolent Sin, which did not exist at the time of Corbids' release, and also its only effect is to boost its own attack and rank. On top of that, like I said, all these are level 3s in the main deck. How are you supposed to bring out a level 4? That is very pointless. But yeah, that's the SC summoning condition. What does Corbids itself do? Well, by detaching an Xyz material, you can, once per turn, target a defense position monster your opponent controls and shuffle it back into the deck. Additionally, once per turn, when a monster's battle position is changed, you can attach an insect monster from your graveyard to this card as an Xyz material. We'll get to the relevance of that later. Or the irrelevance of that, depends on how you view it. The final monster is the rank 7 Disselbug Rhinoceros, with 26 on attack and 22 on defense, which similarly to Corbids, can be properly summoned 2 different ways. Either using 2 or more level 7 light insect monsters. Hey, guess what? Similar to Corbids, there are none. Or you could detach 2 Xyz materials from a rank 5 or 6 monster, i.e. Corbids or the Insector Xyz. Yep, that's the only ones. Yeah, there's not much Xyz insect monsters. Very awkward restriction with this archetype. Going back to Rhinoceros, it also deals piercing damage and has a quick effect that at the cost of detaching an Xyz material, your opponent's monsters with the highest defense or all if tied are destroyed. Yep, that's the end of this. Yeah, very lackluster effects with these. With the monsters covered, we can now cover their spells, beginning with their field spell, Bug Matrix, which increases the attack and defense of your insect monsters by 300, and once per turn you can attach 1 insect monster from your hand to an insect Xyz monster you control. Next up is their own Wake Up magic, this being the quick play spell, Bug Signal. Bug Signal lets you use an insect Xyz monster you control to summon out an insect monster which is either 2 ranks higher or 2 ranks lower than it. Side note, due to the Xyz monsters all having 2 ranks different from each other, Wake Up Magic Astral Force pretty much serves the same purpose as this card. Now that all these cards that mention attaching by card effect, that being the quick play spell, the field spell, and Corbids, let's address why those don't work. As well as the fact that Corbids and Rhinoceros can be summoned using Xyz evolution methods. The problem is that digital bugs only grant powers to Xyz monsters when they were Xyz summoned using this card on the field as Xyz material. Emphasis on the field. So if you attach them from your hand with the field spell, or you attach them from the graveyard with Corbids, or you rank up into them, they don't have the effects. So what's the point? Why is your main gimmick contradicting your secondary gimmick? What's the point? What's the design philosophy behind this? And what's worse, and makes me think that this was just a test, is that 3 main sets later, for clarification, they debuted in Signing Victories, exactly 3 sets after Signing Victories introduced these, Zodiac got released in Raging Tempest. These cards not only gave their Xyz monsters additional effects by simply being attached regardless of the method used, but they could also be Xyz summoned using only 1 monster. This resulted in 3 Zodiac monsters getting hit on the ban list, meaning that the 2 times that Konami has tried this particular method with Xyz monsters, that being having them gain effects based off of the monsters used for the Xyz summon, they were either terrible, that being digital bugs, or so good they had to get banned out of existence. Can they possibly make a middle ground with this? Can they make an Xyz focused archetype with this kind of gimmick to it that isn't too far either way? But now, onto their final card. The trap card, Bug Emergency. This lets you revive 2 level 3 insect monsters while negating their effects. And the other effect is that by banishing itself and an Xyz monster from your grave, you can have the levels of your level 3 insect monsters become that of the banished monster's rank. Also, you can only summon insect monsters this turn. In other words, by banishing itself and the rank 7 Rhinoceros, your level 3 bugs will become level 7. This is the means by which you can summon out the higher rank monsters and have them actually gain the effects of the digital bugs themselves. However, it does require you to not only summon the Xyz monster using the same monster, but also get this trap card in the graveyard. If this slow strategy, which requires way too much setup to accomplish, was not bad enough, let's address the giant elephant beetle in the room. Oh my, that thing is huge. Get it out of this room. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, the nail in this archetype's coffin. The monster effects are focused on defense position monsters, meaning that due to the existence of link monsters, this strategy is power crept and easily counterable. Going back to what I had stated at the beginning of the video, I found this archetype to be very disappointing. I enjoy the Xyz evolution mechanic. I enjoy the presence of materials being important to an Xyz monster. I wanted there to be more insect-based archetypes. At the time, there was only insectors. Fortunately, Quaddles have come along since then. And also, as far as the theming, I was taking Introduction to Computers class at the time of its release, and therefore I was very intrigued about the very computer and, well, digital aspects of these. But since this has been released, we have now gained the Cybers type, not archetype, entire type. That just did the theming even better. And Zodiacs did the mechanic better. Crawlers and insectors did the insect type better. These bugs just cannot catch a break, can they? They just fail at everything that they attempted.